What did each one represent for you?
The first one was disbelief. I'll never forget, maybe 10 games into the season, we all looking at each other like, hey, we can win a championship. The 2017 one was like, with KD coming here, we cannot lose. Like, first we were the good guys in a jump shooting team that a jump shooting team would never win. Now all of a sudden, we're the super villains? 2018. I think that one was kind of like the icing on the cake for all of it. Like, let's go do it again. The fourth one was like the biggest you. I'm not even sure if I can curse or I'm supposed to curse, but I have no better way of explaining it. That was you to everybody.
4 championships in 8 years? Man, that's tough. If we're gonna take a look back, they were already counted out by lots of analysts after going through back-to-back losing seasons by saying stuff like,
do you think the Golden State Warriors dynasty is over?
Well, unfortunately for my friends in the Bay Area, the answer to that is obviously and unequivocally yes.
I hate to say this right now, but to be honest with you, I don't see the Golden State Warriors bringing home another championship.
I don't think they're winning a title anytime soon, and that means the dynasty is over.
Well, that didn't last long, because the Dubs are just 16 wins away in grabbing another championship. And with the momentum they have right now, regardless of what happens in the first few games versus the Kings, Wiggins just got his conditioning back, guys. Draymond Green actually got me thinking right there. I mean, what would winning a 5th title mean for the Golden State Warriors? Compared to all their previous championships, I believe winning this year's title would be the most special simply because of what they already went through this season. And speaking of that, here's Brian Windhorst's breakdown of their roller coaster ride going to the playoffs.
You look at what's happened to the Warriors this season, they've gone through a lot. Of course, there was the Draymond Green punch at Jordan Poole in the preseason. Steph Curry had not one but 2 injuries that knocked him out for significant time. Andrew Wiggins missed a huge chunk of the season with personal issues and also had an injury that wrecked a good start for him that took him out most of the Christmas season. And then you look at their defensive issues and their issues on the road. I mean, never has a champion been this poor away from home and this good on their home court. It really doesn't make any sense. Klay Thompson got off to a rough start and had to warm up as the season went along. Jordan Poole, after his contract and the Green incident, didn't get off to the best of starts and had to, go and warm up as the season went along. James Wiseman, their prize number 2 draft pick from several years ago, they basically moved on from him at mid-season. But look at where the Warriors are. And this is why they are extremely dangerous. So here we are. The Warriors are in position to win a 5th title in the last decade. The question is, can they take advantage of this good fortune? History says yes. There is a number of different ways this Western Conference playoffs can go. You could honestly make a case for 4 or 5 different teams to win the West and face the Eastern Conference champ in the finals. But nobody is in better position with more experience, with more depth, and with more now positive momentum than the Warriors.
After all the problems that they've had this season, the Dubs somehow, some way, managed to pull through. And now, they've got a clear shot of gunning for another title, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, other teams would just simply fold or go into tanking mode if they faced the same problems that the Dubs had this season. But at the end of the day, the Warriors showed what they're truly made of when it counts most. Anyways, there's no question that winning a 5th title in 9 years will definitely cement their legacy as the greatest dynasty to be built since the Bulls dynasty that dominated the league throughout the 90s. And they can even go further to argue that their core of Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Stephen Curry is arguably the greatest trio in the history of the modern NBA. It's really remarkable how they've turned the tables this year, and according to Colin Cowherd, here's what it truly means if the Warriors win the title this year.
The Warriors winning again would first of all send 2 big messages. Culture matters, and keep your stars together, even if you have to overpay them a little. The Warriors winning a title would also send this message. When one of your stars, Andrew Wiggins, goes through a dramatic personal crisis, you totally support him, there are no leaks, nothing gets out, and you've got his back and you welcome him in. The other message is, hey man, it's not pretty. It's hard to win titles here. There's no layups. Michael Jordan's Bulls dynasty. Wasn't that 10-part documentary great? It was also revealing. Jerry Krause, Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson trying to heroically hold it all together. Michael retires for baseball. It's hard. The Kobe, Shaq dynasty. Jeff Pearlman's written about that. I mean, you can't believe they won 3 championships, and they should have won 4 if Karl Malone doesn't get hurt. This stuff is hard. The Warriors, if they won this year with an aging Steph, on the heels of the Draymond punch to Jordan Poole, inflamed the locker room. On Clay having a bizarrely good resurgence to his career when we thought the best days were over. With Andrew Wiggins missing 40-plus games. Being the worst road team to ever make the playoffs. That's a 30 for 30. That's a movie script. That's great for sports. You could call it From Punch to the Playoffs. What the Warriors have done this year is remarkable. It's full of different storylines and drama and conflict, but they support their guys. Culture matters. Have your guys back. Don't worry about the salary cap. If you got to pay a little more to keep the band together. The Warriors, loyal to a fault to some of their guys, you'd argue. They develop players. They have drama. They overcome it. They don't bail on people. I think that's what's great about this dynasty.
As Colin said in that clip, winning the championship this year would mean that building the right team culture while cultivating talent are still the main ingredients of success in today's NBA. I mean, we've seen superstars left and right teaming up with one another over the last couple of years in the high hopes of winning a title. But so far, most of them have failed big time because they thought that talent and firepower alone are enough to carry them all the way through to the promised land. See, on the contrary, the Dubs dynasty wasn't built overnight. They've built their core through the draft, and they had to go through some growing pains, which strengthened their trust for one another. Then, when they had their breakthrough, they kept playing for each other, and because of that, their chemistry developed tremendously as a unit. Now, when adversity hits them, they know how to respond since they already had gone through the bad times as a team. And as you've seen this season, they've managed to weather the storm and even come out on top despite the odds being heavily stacked against them. The point that I'm making here is that although there's no question that the Dubs are full of great players, skill and talent alone can only take you so far. But if you want sustained success, it's essential to build a thriving culture as well as a system that everyone will buy into, to house the talent that you have, and this is what the Warriors have been doing in the last couple of years, which could serve as a blueprint for other teams to follow. Anyways, Cowherd also said earlier that keeping their players happy by paying them their dues is also another message the Dubs are going to send throughout the rest of the league, if they win the title this year. While ironically this is true, this could be the last time we'll be seeing Steph, Clay, and Draymond playing in the same uniform, cause after giving JP3 the bag, Draymond said that he was not expecting the Dubs to give him a max contract. With that said, Draymond could exercise his player option next year and find another team that will be needing his services, which means that that's all she wrote for the Dubs dynasty. Well, on the other hand, this is all just in theory, and there's a possibility that Draymond will stay for another year before declaring for free agency if the Dubs win the chip this year. But regardless of what happens in the next couple of weeks, I think the Warriors dynasty will continue its reign of terror, with or without Draymond. I mean, if the Dubs win it this year, I believe that the Bay Area will become an attractive destination for the big names in the free agent market. And even if the Dubs can't accommodate them in their payroll, we've seen marquee players sign for less money just so they can play in a winning ball club like the Dubs. If you remember, the former two-time All-Star David West agreed to a veteran's minimum worth $1.55 million in 2016, and even KD took a $9 to $10 million pay cut just to keep their championship team intact in the 2017 season. What I'm trying to say here is that if the Dubs win the championship this year, there's no doubt that a lot of big-time players are going to be more than willing to be part of the next phase of their dynasty, which also means that the Dubs can easily find a suitable replacement for Draymond should he decide to go elsewhere next season. Anyways, from a collective standpoint, let's now switch gears here real quick and talk about what winning another championship means for their superstar, Steph Curry. In the case of Steph, winning a 5th championship will definitely have a massive impact on his legacy, as well as his ranking in the pantheon of all-time greats. Right now, I have Steph included in my personal list of top 10 greatest players of all time. I mean, he's a 9-time All-Star, back-to-back MVP, a Finals MVP, and a 4-time champ. So there's no question that he should not only be in my list, but on anyone's top 10 list as well. However, here's the thing. While we can credit Steph for leading the Dubs to their first and most recent championships, we all know that KD was the big dog that helped bring down back-to-back banners for them in 2017 and 2018. I mean, although winning a championship is always a team effort, people will always see it that Steph has only won 2, and KD, on the other hand, has won 2 on his own. Now, if the Dubs somehow pull a miracle and win the championship with Steph being as their best player and hailed as Finals MVP, I have no choice but to bump Steph to my top 5 all time, and possibly all the way to top 3 behind Jordan and LeBron with all the individual accolades and championships that he gathered so far. I mean, I know it's too early to include Steph in the top 5 since there are more accomplished guys that deserve a spot like Magic, Kareem, and Bird. We must not forget that Steph is as revolutionary as those guys with the way he changed the game from beyond the three-point line. And because of this, on top of all the awards and stuff that he accomplished in his stellar career, there's no doubt that Steph will always have a seat at the table of the GOAT of GOATs.